third graders, how are you doing? I've missed seeing you in class. As you can see in the background, I put the art letters back there to make it kind of feel like we're in the art room, but as you can see, I'm at my house. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the value scale, and I thought I could show you how we could turn that into a triple dip ice cream cone. It's gonna look something kind of like this, okay? And if you watched the videos, you can remember what they were talking about as far as when we make a color lighter in watercolors, we're just gonna add more water. So water is kind of like your white. There's not gonna be many times you're actually gonna use the color white because watercolors are supposed to kind of have a light feel to them. So I'm gonna dip my paintbrush in the water here. I'm gonna get some red. I want to get a good amount of paint on my red and a pretty good amount of water. You can see it's moving around in there, and I'm going to paint it now. Okay, that's about a medium color. So what you're going to want to do, make it a little lighter. I'm going to dip, slide just a little bit so I don't have a ton of water, and I'm going to come back here to my paper and see how it gets lighter the more water I've added. Okay? Now what I did here, I finished this over here so that you could see this. Okay, so I started out just like that. And then what I did, once that was completely dry, I added a second layer to the middle and the top. And then when that was dry, I added a third layer up here. It's very hard to start out this color with watercolors, so you might have to add a layer or two, okay? But you'll notice this light color, I had to get that by adding more water. Okay, so this is all tints. Right here is red, and then a tint of red has a little bit of white in it, and that's kind of a medium pink. And then your light pink is going to be have more of a tint to it because it has more white. So that is going to be our triple dip. And you can see I drew on there the shape of the ice cream scoops that I want. You can make them as drippy as you want, or if you don't want drips on your ice cream cone, you don't have to have that either. So we'll cut those out in a minute, and then I'm going to show you as far as the cone goes. I had another piece here that I started. As far as the cone goes, I'm just going to dry off my paintbrush because I'm going to use brown now. I'm going to again try to start with the medium color here for my cone. Okay. And I'm going to add a little bit more because I feel like that's light enough on the left side. If I felt like I wanted the one side to be a little lighter, I'd just add a little more water. But I feel like I'm happy with that. So I'm going to add more. And you'll notice, do you notice something different about the cone versus this? See how these are definite almost stripes between the colors? That's because I let them completely dry, and that's what would be called a stepped wash. But here, with my cone, it's very gradual. You see the difference? And that's called a graduated wash, just because it's gradual, and I did the whole thing while it was wet, so it gradually gets from light to medium here. And then we'll go ahead, while it's still wet, because again, I kind of want it to be a gradual color, I'm going to add my tint of black in here. Okay, and just a little. I don't really want the black to overtake the brown at all, so I kind of tapped it on my napkin over here, and I don't know if this is in the way, so I'll move that. I guess I can use more. I was nervous it would be too much. I don't know, it feels like it got a little bit lighter to me. Sometimes that happens if your brush is a little bit dry and you're trying to put your brush on wet, it can kind of almost pick up the paint. So if you feel like that's happening, just let it dry a little bit. I'm just going to put a little bit more brown on top. I do think that's happening just a little bit. I'm going to add a tiny bit of water so my brush isn't too dry. There, that looks better. To me, that looks like a shade of brown. It almost looked like there wasn't enough brown on what would be your left side. My right, it kind of felt like it was getting too light. So that would be how we would make the shade for the brown for the cone. And then if you want to be as creative as however you want to add the little designs on the cone, you can. You could take a toothpick make your designs like that. And this is kind of fun because if you do it, notice what happens if you do it while it's wet. See how the paint goes into the little creases? Looks really cool. So I'm gonna make mine like this. You could wait till it dries and add it on with a marker, or you could put it on before you start painting with a brown crayon, and the paint would kind of go around that like we did the leaves at the beginning of the year. So that is up to you. What we'll do, I'll stop this video now and then I will assemble it and I'll show you how I did that in another very, very short video, just so you can see how it goes together at the end. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in a minute.